Hello everybody. In the last session, we saw the whole data process flow, like I could select developer point of view architecture, where from the data comes from source systems to our landing tables, and from there to landing to stage tables. And also we moved the data from your stage tables to my base objects. And also we saw what are the different options we have there, like your message or just match roles, your match job, your merge job, and finally creating your master records, your unmerge, manual unmerge, all this stuff. And finally we create the master record. And we also saw like how do we publish the data. I mean, like your two modes, batch mode and real time mode, right? So that's all about your batch versus flow, which we covered in the last class over there. And today let's see the new one. It's like your hub console. See here, MDM Hub Architecture. So this is the one where we have the three layers over here. So you can see the top, the bottommost layer is called as Hub Store, where this contains two databases. One is kind of called as master database. Another one is called as your product, your ORSs. So there are different kind of ORSs over here. So we'll try to explain you what are this later. So the bottommost layer is called as your database layer, and the middle one you have here, this called as your application layer, where this contains your hub server and your CleanseMatch server. Okay, and the topmost layer is called as Informatica MDM Hub Console, where this helps us to understand like what are the different options, who or what are the different roles can work on your hub console over here. So data steward can work, or your admin can work on the same tool. At the same time, MDM developer can work on the same tool. Okay, so this is your total MDM Hub architecture. So let's start learning about from the bottom here. So the bottommost layer is called as your database layer, where this contains two databases. One is your master database and the one is your ORS. So let me try to write down here. One is your master database, another one is your ORS. So ORS is nothing but I'll tell you later. So for now, let's try to understand what is your master database. So master database, it is a database where this contains high level configuration setting details. High level configuration setting details. So what is this high level configuration setting details are? So let's try to understand here. To see here, this database is purely for the main part. This can be accessed only by your admin. So what are the options you see now going forward? All this for your admin only. So what are the things you have under your master database? Everything comes under your admin. So admin, if you are a admin role, then you will be using all these options now we are going to discuss. Okay, so what do you have under your master database? The first thing, so generally if you have any GUI tool, like you have MDM tool, you have Informatica Power Center, you have a data stage, you have different type of ETL tools, and you have different type of other tools as well. So now for any ETL tool, if you want to store the data or if you want to have your tables, so for that reason, what we need to do, we need to have a underlying database. So we should have a database for sure, so that we can create a table and also we can store the data inside that, which has been associated to the particular MDM tool over here. So what is the database is been associated to our MDM tool? So, or which database is been used to create your landing tables, your staging tables, your base objects. And also we know that once you create your stage table, your reject table will be created. And we also know that once you create a mapping, you can see all other different tables like your raw table, your OPL, your PRL tables. At the same time, when you create your base object, you can see many tables got created, like cross reference table, your history tables, all these tables. So where all these tables are created, so all for these tables to be created, we should have one database at the back end of a MDM tool. So that is nothing but here this option tells us what is a database is been created, or which database is been associated with my MDM tool, so that I could create all these tables over here in my MDM tool. Okay, so this contains like which database is associated with MDM. So generally in what you say, like in Informatica Power Center, you can have any database at the back. It can be Oracle, it can be what you said, Sybase, Teradata, it can be anything. But here in MDM, it can't be like that. It supports only 3. There is nothing but for the first one, it will be your Oracle. Second one will be your DB2, and third one will be your SQL Server. Okay, so before 10th version, it should support only 2. That's your Oracle and your DB2. But after 10th version, it's also added one more new one, SQL Server. So only these 3 databases have been supported by your MDM tool. So you can install any one of the database at the back end to support your MDM Hub tools over here. Okay, so you can't go more than these 3, like your Teradata or any other Sybase, Informatics. So you can't go apart from these 3 databases only. Okay, so you need to choose any one from these 3 only. So next, so generally when any person joins, it has a new into a project level. Okay, so then how could a person get access to this MDM over here? So for sure, a person who joins the project should have the access for your MDM Hub console tool. So in order to have the access, or who are the different users that have been having the access to know all this stuff, so you have your user access option under your master database, where this contains a list of users who are having access to MDM tool. It contains a list of users who are having access to MDM tool with irrespective to the roles. So all other, what other role he may work in, if he has access to the tool, he will be under this particular list over here. With irrespective to the role, like he may be a data steward, he can be a admin, or he may be a MDM developer. Whatever it is, with respect to the what you say, like roles, all the list of the users will be under my user access. Okay, so now we also have, along with this, we also have one more thing, like, see, suppose like you are an admin. If you are an admin, so it is okay if you're working on your admin tool, but why do I need to give you access for developer options, or why do I give the options for my data steward options? So if you give, even though what you do with has a doing admin over here. So admin means you will be having the knowledge only based upon your admin stuff. But if you are not a developer, if you're not a data steward, then what is use it giving the options to the other things over there, other MDM developer tools, or like your data steward options. Okay, similarly, if you're MDM developer, then what I'll do, like I'll try to give you access for only those options where MDM developer can work on. So even though I give options for my admin, or if I give the option for data steward, then what is use of that? If you do not have the knowledge on those screens, then what is use of giving that? Anyway, this is one part. The other part is like, suppose you have the knowledge and you did something wrong, something went wrong, then you are totally responsible for that. See here, you are an MDM developer, and if you have the access for my master database, that means you'll be having the access to my users as well. So being a MDM developer, if you have access to this, suppose you unfortunately or by mistake you deleted one user. So from there onwards, what will happen now? So that person will be having access to the tool, and he cannot work on anymore. Okay. So all these things. So for that reason, what I do, if you are a developer, admin will provide the access to your what you say, like developer roles only. If you are a admin will provide the access for only admin options only. If you are a data steward, admin will provide the access to my data steward options only, so that he can work only on those options. So in this method, in this way, what happens, like you even don't see the options. It's not like read only mode. So sometimes what happens, like you can see the whole tool, but you can edit the things whatever you can do based upon respect to the role. But for all other options you can view at least, but you can't edit or you can't do any kind of stuff there. But in here that's not the case. So if you are a developer, I'll provide the access for only those options for a MDM developer only. So you can't even see the options for other roles like admin or your what to say, like a data steward. So we'll see this in practical, how a admin can restrict that tool for respect to the roles of a particular user. Okay, so here we can also have the different things like tool access. Okay, so how could a user, so this one helps us like, so this one helps like restricting a user to view only those options where the user is opted for. So a user cannot view any other options as well. Only those options a user can view based upon the role he is working into. Okay, so next is like you also have different options for called like publishing the data in real-time mode. So generally we know that when you publish the data we have two options. So one is your batch mode, another one is your real-time mode. So batch mode, you publish the data in your ETL mode, where in real-time mode you publish the data using your message queues. So message queues is one of the way where you try to publish the data to your third parties or your consumer, downstream consumers, using your message queues. Okay, so all these options, like say generally what are the different message queues are available. So as a MDM developer, we or you don't need to create any kind of message queues, but who will do that? Your admin will do that. So admin will try to create your message queues in your application layer, and those message queues will be pulled into my message queues options over here using in my master database. So we'll see this as well. Okay, so now what are the message queues you created in your application layer? Those options or those details will be shown under my message queues over here. So this one has all the message queue details created at application layer or application server. Okay, so this contains has the application message queues details created, or I could say message queues created at my application server. So this is helpful for us to publish the data in real-time mode to my downstream consumers. Fine. So next is like we also have the things like, so once you created a particular code from scratch based upon my client requirement. So generally we have three environments in real-time mode. So in real-time, so project level, that is your test environment, second is your QA, and third thing is your production. So first we'll be having your test environment, or you can also say like R&D. So based upon the project, based upon the client, they try to name that. And also you have like a QA environment, or like some people may also call it as pre-prod environment, and last one is your production. So these are the three different environments generally we have in our real time. So generally when you try to create a new requirement, you will start doing development part in your test or R&D environment. So once you did all your code and you did your own unit testing and you sent to the testing team, and once they approved your code is good enough to go with, then what you do, I'll move my code from my test environment to my QA, and later on from QA again to my production. So how could I move my code from one environment to another environment? or how could I migrate my code from one environment to another environment. So that can be done using your repository manager. So repository manager helps us to migrate the code from test environment to QA and QA to production environment. Environments. Okay, so this is helps to migrate the code from one environment to another environment. So all this stuff also will be available under my master database. And also you could have different things options here, like your security providers, where this one helps us to generally we try to access the tool using your user ID and password provided by the client. Suppose you want to access the tool using your some kind of external credentials, which is not in general one, so it's only given to some specific users. So if you want to have, so which users are having your this kind of options, all those things available under my security providers. And also you have like your enterprise level, or what is like a full environmental report, So all these options you can see in your enterprise manager in your under your master database. Okay, so this can be viewed under your enterprise manager. So this provides you your full environment report, like what is the master details, who are the different admins you have, what are the users, or like what are the, what you say, how many ORSs are there. I'll tell you what is ORSs, how many ORSs are there, or what is a client server, or what is a hub server. We'll speak all these things later about your client servers and your hub servers, and all this stuff you will be available under your full environmental report, and this can be accessed using your enterprise manager. So these are the different details you can have here using in your master database. So master database can be used only by an admin, but no other person like a data steward or like your MDM developer has access to your master database in real-time perspective. Just in case if they want to give, yes, they can give. It's not a big deal for the admin to provide the access to other roles as well. So that's comes based upon your tool access. So if you do not restrict any options, if you give the whole tool options, then yes, you, as even though you're an admin, even though you're a data steward, or even though you're MDM developer, you can view and edit the things or access the options available for the across the whole tool over there. Okay, so this is about your master database, where it contains your high level configuration setting details, and this can be used or accessed only by your admin. So now next is your ORS. ORS is nothing but it's also called as the full form like operational reference store. Operational reference store. So what is this for? So till now we spoke like all these options you see here above are being useful for your admin, but we also know that apart from my admin, we have the people like or different roles like data steward or your MDM developer. So now if you are a data steward or if you are a MDM developer, then where do you work on? So you don't see any options over here for a MDM developer or for your data steward. So for those people to work on, they have your ORS, operational reference store. So this is like a plain schema where you don't have any kind of inbuilt or pre-built tables inside this. It's nothing. So this is purely for your MDM developer and your data steward options over here. So data steward can do unmerge, or you can do manual unmerge, he can do manual merge, and also he can go with your hierarchies over here. So all these things you can understand even more better when you see the tool level things over there. Okay, so I could say this is a plain schema, so where you don't have any kind of options or just like a dummy or examples, nothing. It's a plain schema. So if you have an idea on Informatica Power Center, when you create a particular folder for a new application within your organization level, then what I'll do in that particular folder, you don't see any sources, any targets, any mappings, any transformations, reusable transformation, or any mapper, nothing. It's a plain schema where you need to start from scratch level. The same thing happens over here as well. Once you create a new ORS, you don't see anything. It's a plain schema. Okay, so this one is useful for your, I could say, for MDM developer and for data steward. So as a MDM developer, this is the area where you try to create your landing tables, your staging tables, your base objects, your match and merge rules setup, your what you say like your mappings, your packages, your queries, your hierarchical views, hierarchical configuration settings. Everything will be done under your ORS only. So if you are an MDM developer, then I could say that 99.9% you will be working under your ORS only. Okay, so because the whole stuff is available under ORS, so you were nowhere related to my master database except only one option, that is your repository manager. So you may have a chance to have an access for this particular options to migrate the code from one environment to another environment. Okay, but it's not a mandatory. You may have an option, you may have, but it's not a mandatory again. But the other all stuff like developing the things, everything, your jobs, running of the jobs, everything will be available under my ORS only. Okay, so that's about your ORS. So this is the combination of both MDM developer and your data steward. So this contains all your not only development but also you can execute the different kind of jobs, and you can also do different things like your batch, grouping the jobs at one place or running your jobs individually. So everything can be done under your ORS. Similarly, your data steward, if you want to unmerge the data manually, merge the data manually, or if you want to view the hierarchical point of view values or records, yes, he can use your ORS over here. Okay, so this is about my ORS and this is about my master database. And one more thing, see, ORS is the place where generally if you speak about the other MDMs, like in market we have like a SAP MDM, we have like a IBM MDM, or we have like a Siebel MDM. So we have different MDMs over here in market. All these MDMs, what happens, like you can have only one ORS. So before buying the product, you should ask the vendor like for which generally they'll ask you like for which master type of data you're trying to, for which domain you're trying to master the data. So it can be either a customer domain, customer, you're trying to master your customer stuff, or you can master your product stuff, or you want to master your location stuff, or something else, or you want to master your store level information stuff. So you have a lot of things to master if you want to go with. But while you trying to buy the MDMs from your SAP or IBM or from Siebel, so they'll provide you for only specific domain. Like if you want to master the data for your only product, then yes, they'll provide you the MDM for that. So the only difference is that in your Informatica MDM, it's a plain schema. You don't have any pre-built tables or pre-built examples over there. But in my SAP or IBM or Siebel, here you will have a pre-built tables based upon the domain you purchased. So if you say it's a customer related stuff, then you can see all the tables related to my customer. Or if you say it's a product related stuff, you can see all the tables related to my product. Okay, so that is how it works on. So this, if you want to go with some other domain you want to work on, then you can't do it over there. So you need to buy it again from the respective vendors from there. But for my Informatica MDM, that's not the case. So you just created one domain, like for customer domain, and you created one ORS over here, and this is called as my cust ORS. Just you have one customer ORS, where this ORS contains all my landing tables, staging tables, your base object, your mappings, your queries, your packages, everything based upon your related to your customer only. So later on you thought like let me try to create, or let me try to master my product level information. Then yes, you can create one more product domain. So you can create one more ORS called as your prod underscore ORS, where you can master your product stuff. So, and similarly you want to master your other one, like your location, then yes, you have your location underscore ORS. So you could create multiple ORSs. How many you want, you can create them. Okay, so you can create multiple ORSs, and you can master multiple domain information in a single installation of your Informatica MDM Informatica MDM Hub Console tool. Okay, whereas compared to other MDMs, you can't master multiple domains. You can master only one domain at a time. Okay, since you can master multiple domains, for that reason being, Informatica MDM tool is called as your multi-domain edition, whereas all other MDMs are called as your single domain edition. Okay, so that's the reason being Informatica MDM Hub Console is more what you say, like it's a pioneer when compared to some other MDMs, SAP or IBM or CBL MDMs. Okay, so now coming back to my architecture over here. So now you could understand, like this is a master database, and this master database again contains all the information related to your customers or your product or your location. Okay, so if you have, so multiple ORSs can be created, all those ORS related stuff will be having under your master. So which database has been associated, and also add one more, like ORSs, I would say apostrophe ORSs related details also incorporated into my master database. So even these details, how many ORSs are there in my Informatica MDM, so all these details have been incorporated in my master database. Okay, so coming back here, so now you could see that, so I have my hub store, and I have like a different ORSs over here. So this is all the multi-domain edition. That is the reason being it's called as. So that's all about my what to say, like a bottommost layer, and it's also called as a database layer. So now next is like we have the middle layer, and that is called as your application layer. So this contains two things. One is your hub server, and another one is your cleanse match server. So what is this cleanse match server over here? So cleanse match server is something like if you don't have the server, you can't execute the jobs. That means you can't run your data, or you can't move the data from your landing table to your stage, or to stage to your base object. And once the data is available in your base object, you can't what you say, like run your match job, you can't run your merge job. Finally, I could say that you can't create your master records if you don't have a cleanse match server. So this is similar to your if you compare with Informatica Power Center, this is similar to your integration service. So without having your integration service, you can't execute any jobs over there, any workflows over there. Similar to that, here as well, without having your cleanse match server, you can't execute any jobs. I'll show you this in practical. If you don't have cleanse match server, then you can't execute that. If you have it, then only you can execute your jobs. I'll show you this without having and with having my cleanse match servers. And next is you have your hub server. So this is like your master reference manager, hierarchy manager, application manager, all these things comes on the hub server. So what is this? So this is something like your, when compared to your Informatica Power Center, so this is your repository manager. Sorry, this is like your I could say repository. Perfect, repository. It's not repository manager, but it's like a repository. So without having your repository or repository service, so can we do the development part? So without having a repository, under that we can't create any folder. If you don't have any folder, under that we can't create any kind of mappings or any kind, we can't import any source definitions or target definitions, right? Similar to that here as well, without having your hub server, you can't do the development part for sure. Okay, so if you have only hub server and you don't have your CleanseMath server, then you are able to do only the development stuff, but you can't do any kind of what you say like running the jobs over there. Okay, so that's the things you have here, and this layer is called as your application layer. So why do we call it as application layer? See here, this CleanseMath server or your hub server can't be installed directly on your MDM tool. Then how can I get this to install? So this two can be installed only when you install your application server first. So without having your application server, you can't install your hub server and CleanseMath server. So in general, you have different application servers like one thing is you have a JBoss. Second thing you have like a WebSphere, and third thing we have a WebLogic. Okay, so JBoss, this is from your Red Hat, and this is from your Oracle, and this is from your IBM. So these are the different application servers you have here. So without having any one of the application server, without having any one, you can't run your you can't install your hub server or your CleanseMath server for sure. If you can't install them, then for sure you can't do any kind of development stuff, or you can't execute any kind of jobs in your hub tool. Okay, so see here, don't worry about this. Being a MDM developer, you no need to worry about this particular application layer. So even though you do not know the basic, or even though you do not know the ABC of your application layer, application server, it's not a problem at all. It's not a problem. Okay, so but if you are trying to upgrade your role to your admin, then for sure you should have the knowledge on these servers, because without having the knowledge on these servers, you can't create your message queues. That is one of the example. Of course, you have many other things to do if you are admin. Okay, so one of the example is like creating of the message queues. So the very first step to create the message queues, like admin will try to create the message queue at your application layer, application server, and from there those queues are been called into my tool level under my master database using this particular option over here. So after getting those message queues, then I'll try to use those queues. As a MDM developer, you use those queues to publish the data. That's a different story again. Okay, so you need to have all these application servers first, or any one of the application, not all, sorry, any one. It can be either JBoss, WebSphere, or WebLogic. In real-time perspective, you can see mostly these two, WebSphere and WebLogic, because these are a little bit advanced one, and these servers can handle your big projects. But this is a very small one, and in our training session as well, we use JBoss only, and this is not that much sophisticated when compared to my WebSphere or WebLogic. Okay, and so this is how, what about the applications layers. So coming back over here, so without having your application layer, you can't install these two for sure. That's about my application layer. So third one, you have your Informatica MDM console over here. So this just tells us like who are the different persons, or what are the different roles can work on this particular hub console tool. So data steward can work on this, your admin work on this, and your design time, that means your development point of stuff like admin, or to say MDM developer roles can work on this. So this is the topmost layer, and hope you understood the three layers over here: the bottommost layer, the database layer, application layer, and the hub console tool level over here. So now you can see one thing like your SIF it's a services integration framework over here. So this one helps us why it is being used for some external applications over here. So generally we know that SIF helps us to read the data in real-time mode, right? And also it helps us to manage your external applications. Suppose or you can control your MDM tool for your external application. For example, think that there is a SAP application sitting in USA. There is a MDM application sitting in India, suppose, just in case. So now SAP application wants to read the data from my MDM, or so without touching my MDM. So generally as a developer, as an admin, if you want to access the tool, first thing is like you need to authenticate the tool using your user ID and password. So once you authenticate the tool, then only you can see all the options inside that, and you can do whatever you want. You can execute the job, you can create a relationship, or you can delete that, sorry, not delete, you can create landing tables, stage tables, whatever you want, you can do it, right? But without touching your Informatica MDM tool. Some external application, can be a SAP, it can be anything, it's not a SAP only, it can be a SOAP, right? SOAP, SOAP. So it can be anything. External application want to handle your MDM tool or want to control your MDM tool. So like SAP application, this external application wants to read some data from my MDM without touching my MDM. So that kind of things. A SAP application want to delete some data into my MDM tables, or SAP application want to create some relationship into my MDM tables. Right, so all such things. So whatever the things can be done in my MDM, everything can be done by external application. But how? That via your SIF. So SIF is a bridge between where it helps us to control your MDM tool for your client. So I could say this is my client. Where it wants to have the data from my tool level over here, and this will be your server where the things happens here. So what SIF will do is like SIF will take the request from my client, and implements that in my server. Once that job is done, it takes the response back from my server to SIF again, and SIF will try to push it to my client back again. Okay, so SIF is like it's a bridge between my client and server. So without a SIF, no external application can control MDM. So can't read the data, can't execute a job, can't delete the data in the tables. So it can't do anything such kind of stuff. So SIF, it totally this works on your web services, and for this you require some kind of Java knowledge on this. So Java knowledge is mandatory for having your SIF. Okay, so it's not an advanced one. Core Java knowledge is enough. Okay, so not only for SIF, but also you have one more concept in our MDM tool, like a user exist. For even that you need Java code. Okay, so that's all about your things over here, the external applications, controlling that. The reason being, so just it's a request and response from your MDM Hub console to my external applications over here. So that's all about my second architecture, that's my MDM Hub architecture. So that's all about your second architecture level. And now next, finally you have one more, and that is your this one. See here, it's a batch process over here. So where this one has things, if you see here, you have your landing table at the starting point, and later you have your staging table. So from where you move the data from your landing table to my stage, and from there you move the data from stage to my load. Load means nothing but it's your base object. So you use your I could say it's your base object tables, and once you have the data in your base object tables, you try to create the match pairs, right? That's what we discussed earlier. So creating the match pairs comes under the process called as a tokenize over here. So once the things have been done, what we need to do, we need to run our match rules. We need to for that we need to run our match job. So once you run your match job, what happened, like finally we try to consolidate, we try to identify the similar records, and we try to finally what we do, we try to consolidate or we try to merge them into a single record. So all the records which belong to same customer, we try to merge it and we try to create the master record. So once the master record is created, finally what we do, we try to publish the data. So that's the total batch process flow you have here, from your landing table to your stage to your load to your tokenize, and tokenize to your matching job, to your consolidation is a merge job, and finally your publishing of data. Okay, so this is all about your whole architecture part you have here. So next session what we do, like we try to look into our MDM Hub console tool level. So what are the different options you have here, we'll see all that. So before going forward, let me show you the contents what we have here. So yep, we have the contents here. Okay, so this is the course contents. So we just completed the introduction of the architecture part here. So this contains two things. One is like your data process flow, that's your developer point of view architecture, and other one is your MDM Hub console tool level. So three levels we just saw today. So these two is been covered in your the first one here, introduction and architecture. So in the next session we see the second one, like Informatica Hub console overview. So this helps us to understand each and every options available in my tool level. So on the next session I'll show you the tool and what are the different options you have here. So over there you could see your master database and your ORSS, and also you can see all the options which we discussed today, like your user access, your tool restrictions, your message queues, your repository manager. All these options you can see in the next session in your master database. So let's meet tomorrow in the next section. So in the next session with your more details about your tool level. Hope you understood, guys. Thank you.